You pick that one. Can you make some room for it? Yes. In the parking lot.
So tall, you wouldn't see over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, we're going to go ahead and get started. There's still some open seats. Please feel free to come up and take the load off. We won't be up here long, but invite you all to come on up. Well, welcome. I'll kick us off this evening. My name is Jerod Breit, and I serve as the Executive Director of Delta Chi. And I just want to welcome all of you to the new headquarters, international headquarters of the Delta Chi Fraternity. We have such a legacy that we left in Iowa City in its physical form of a house, but not in the emotional form that we know so many Delta Chis spanning decades have for the memories from 314 Church Street in Iowa City. But we are so excited to have you all here tonight to do what we intended to do in March of 2020. Because of the pandemic, we had to put a pause on that. And so it's really nice to, for the first time, have our fraternity leadership and so many esteemed guests, both from the industry, but from Delta, and looking at the guests that are here. It's really an honor to have you, and thank you for coming. I'll just say one quick word, and then I'm going to pass it off to the leadership of the fraternity. But this endeavor that we've engaged in over the past year and a half means so much more than just changing a building. It means so much more than moving from one city to the next. It signifies for Delta Chi the next chapter in the chronicle of Delta Chi stories that we have. And we have over 130 years of history. And it is an honor to serve in this position with such an amazing staff that works tirelessly for Delta Chi. And a lot of that staff this is their first time to headquarters because of the pandemic. And so I'm honored to be on a team with all of you and you being here today. And to those who moved with us, I was just telling the story of Paul Bierman and myself moving from Iowa City to Indianapolis with our houses on the back of the two 18-wheelers that moved headquarters. We just decided to do it all in one swoop. And what a move it has been. In the year and a half or just over that we've been here, we've had so many visitors to this headquarters. People who have been unengaged with the fraternity for so many years, driving down Meridian, taking a double take, and noticing that Delta Chi moved, stopping and coming in and serving to re-engage them into the fraternity. And we're so thankful for that. And tonight, I hope that you walk around, look at what we have on display, which is a rich history that my predecessors in the role of executive director of Delta Chi, put so much work and time into helping the fraternity grow. But certainly neither my predecessors nor myself could have done it without the volunteers of Delta Chi, to really the heart and soul of the fraternity. And so for all of the Delta Chi volunteers that are here today, thank you for your service. And we look forward to many, many years of additional service from each of you. So I'd like to just take a moment now and introduce Aaron Otto, who is Delta Chi's 53rd AA and International President.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you all coming out this evening. I will already apologize for the number of people I will miss on this list, but I do want to introduce some of our longtime leadership, very dedicated alumni, and current leadership of the fraternity that's with us today. So if you'd hold your applause, but if you don't mind raising your hand when I give a little shout out to you, I'd appreciate it. So we had our first Board of Regents meeting here today in this building, in fact, in this space, and it worked out really, really well. Grant Heron, who's a Regent, is here. Josh Klein, who's a Regent, here. Don LaPlante, who's Order of the White Carnation, which is the highest honor you can get as an alumni volunteer. Jack Rodican, who's on the Board of Regents. Mark Sexton on the Board of Regents. Cameron Barnett, who's our ritualist and got reappointed to another term today. Thank you, Cameron. Greg Hauser, I could go on about all the things of Greg Hauser. We'll just say Order of the White Carnation and all. Let's see who else is here. Dick McKay, it's great to have you here. We know this, we brought this to your hometown as of late, but Order of the White Carnation and super involved Delta Chi for so many decades. Matt Richardson, who's been on our DE&I committee and numerous other roles. John Shelby, who's Order of the White Carnation. Ken Shepard, Order of the White Carnation. Lyle Sprinkle, good friend, has been the DCF, our Educational Foundation president, and super involved on the local level. Mike Carroll, the guy, you'll never find a nicer Delta Chi than Mike Carroll, past president and Order of the White Carnation. See, General Cook, we appreciate it. I saw you here somewhere. Thank you for coming out here. Great to have you with us as well. Ben Dundas from the Board of Regents, Shiraj Moiboya here from the board, Max Harper from the Board of Regents, Dave Galt, our volunteer legal counsel. We get every dime out of him these days. And I think that runs out a lot in addition to the executive committee who you'll meet shortly. I was asked just to speak a little bit about the decision to come to Indianapolis. I was elected international president the first time in 2016. And I would say that I first made my first trek to Iowa City as an undergrad in 1995. And for those of you who are not aware of our history, we started, just a little fraternity in 1890 in Iowa, in Ithaca, New York. And when you were a national officer, the records went with you. If you were a secretary, you took those records. Your treasurer, you took those records. And eventually we got to the point where we were large enough in the late 1920s that didn't work anymore. And so that's when we got our first rental space in Iowa City, because that time the secretary happened to work at the University of Iowa. And from there, that's when we put down stakes for almost 100 years. And we started on Clinton Street as a rental property. And then we bought our only other headquarters in our entire 130 plus year history in Iowa City. It was a residential house in the middle of a residential neighborhood. As a past city manager, that would not fly today. But for 50 years, that was Delta Chi's home for our headquarters. Now, when we moved in there in 1969, I believe we had about 5 staff. Well, over time, the fraternity grew and the staff grew. And if you can imagine 2 people in a 10 by 10 office working together for 15 years and not having some kind of breakdown, that's how amazing our staff was, and that's how packed that place was. So when I got elected in 2016, I realized the time has come where we have to do something different. We need to expand staff. We need to continue to grow to support our chapters. And so in 2017, we created a committee to start looking for a new host city. Iowa City was one of the possibilities. And we were looking at quality of life, costs, location relative to most of where our chapters are. And Indianapolis just kept coming up over and over again on the top. The one thing I told this committee is you cannot say, everybody else is there, me too. And it won on its merits. And so that became step 1. Step 2 was the great work that Jerod did finding this place. And you'll hear a little bit more about how amazing this was to find, because it was borderline turnkey, move-in ready to what you see today. I remember, I think it was about number 3 to get in this building when it was still occupied by the previous tenants, and minus paint, this is what it looked like in many ways, so it's remarkable. But the one thing I want to say just kind of about today is that I know there's all of you here today, which I'm grateful for all of you joining us and the staff and all of the people watching online. You're going to forget everything I said, probably before I'm done speaking. But the one thing I want you to remember is how you feel and how you feel being in this place. Because yes, this is a building of bricks and mortar, but the reality is between the history, the hard work of volunteers that are in here, the hard work of the staff that's in here. This is a big heart of the fraternity. And I want alumni, just like what Jerod talked about, when they come here or undergraduates come here and have a chance to see this place, to feel like they're at home. And I think people felt that in Iowa City, and they're certainly going to feel that being here in Indianapolis. So thanks again for coming out here tonight. It was really great to hopefully get to visit with all of you. And I'd like to introduce our International Secretary, Tom Carroll.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. I was asked to kind of reflect on where we came from. I worked at the other facility, and now I'm on the board working in this facility as a volunteer today. And so I was asked to kind of talk about it. In 1998, I joined the fraternity staff, and I went to work at 314 Church Street, our old office, and I took a 3-day drive from California to get to Iowa. And when I got there, I got out of the car, and I think I had the same reaction I heard from millions of people as they visited. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was. Because all I had was a pencil, a little overwhelming, because Delta Chi had a lot of stuff. And that stuff was everywhere, in every part of the facility, and everywhere you looked, it was there. And it was like the Winchester Mystery House of finding old stuff. Because you turn a corner and there's another thing. You open a weird door in the ceiling and there's more things. But one of the things that I remembered from that is the irony of all of this story is the first thing we did when I got on staff was we came to Indy. That was one of the first things we did. We came to a conference in Indy. And it was in Bloomington, but we came here first. We toured some headquarters, and I will never forget, it was one of the sorority headquarters, and she said, we were doing the tour. She's like, "Oh, you're from Delta Chi?" And we're like, "Yeah, And she said, "Oh, I visited your headquarters. It's such a cute little house." I was like, "Okay, it is." She's right. She wasn't lying. It is a cute little house. But I'd be remiss. I'm going to take a slight curve. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that this trip to Indy was life-changing for me. It solidified my career path. I went to a conference that was created and hosted by one of our esteemed brothers, and then I followed that path from there into higher ed. So without coming here and coming back to here, none of where I am today would have happened. That was Dick McKay. So give Dick. But back to the small little house. So some of the things that why this is such an amazing place, I'll tell you some of the challenges they had, especially as we went towards the old days. Space was just one aspect of it. Storage comes with space. Things were stored everywhere, including every crevice, nook and cranny, bat-filled attics, flooded basements, and then a shed that was across a very tiny parking lot. And Iowa has inclement weather, and there's nothing worse than getting that call as a new consultant that you have to go in the middle of summer and take boxes and boxes of cornerstone out of the shed into the building. It was a horrible, horrible thing. Also, we had no parking. There wasn't enough parking for everyone who worked there, and times changed. At one time, I imagine there was more people who walked to work, or there was less staff, but there was no parking. So everyone had to park on the street, find parking on the street, which meant you couldn't go anywhere. Now, we have ample parking. We have a huge parking lot. We have parking for everyone. Our guests, when they would come to the old facility, had to find parking. Now, I'm pretty sure Jerod leaves that front open most of the time, so a guest comes, they have VIP parking in Delta Chi. So it's pretty exciting, pretty big change. Also, the way the stuff was. I told you it was in every nook and cranny, but it was really hard to find stuff. If you wanted to find an old photo, they were everywhere. They're up and down. Now, we have probably one of the most well-designed and thought-out headquarters that I've seen. Everything has a very amazing, proper place. I believe it was done by Jerod. I haven't been told otherwise, so we can credit this man for deciding how all these things, and his team for how they're going to arrange it, but everything has its place, and there's walls of things and stuff we didn't display before, and it's really just an amazing look at what can happen in Delta Chi. And I want to leave you with, I have warm regard for that small little house, that cute small little house. I love it. It's 314 Church Street. I've worked there, changed my world. But I am proud of Meridian Street, North Meridian Street. I'm proud of this facility. I'm proud of what we were able to do. It's a beautiful facility. And the idea that we met here, we had a full board meeting today with guests, and now we have all of you here. This is a new day for Delta Chi, that we can just do this in our home. These are things we couldn't do. I mean, we could put a big tent out, but it'd still be crowded. No one had a place to park. So, so all of those things have been challenged. We have this amazing place. Take the time to look at it, especially those that travel far. Really dig into what's happening here when we get done this evening. Look at what's happening. Take that moment to enjoy it. I'm now going to invite our DD, which is our treasurer, Ron Martin, to book it.
Try to keep my remarks brief. This is the culmination of so many people who did so much over so many years. This is not the culmination of us. We happen to be here at this time. When I joined Delta Chi in 1983, I had no idea how important it would become to me, or also how small I was in such a big organization. The same thing became apparent to me when I had the incredible good fortune of being elected DD. Aaron said to me one day, we need to start discussing a move and being prepared for it. And that was something I had never been involved in at the corporate level. I started talking and someone said, you really need to get Greg Hauser's paper on the move. And I said, there's a paper by Greg Hauser. Oh yeah, it's been written decades ago. And I did. And it became apparent to me how many people had put thought into this move well before we did, and had planned it, and had started saving for it, and had the foresight to predict our future and our growth. Everybody knows this is the brotherhood of a lifetime, but sometimes it doesn't just happen. It requires work. And we're very, very fortunate to be a very small part of that. To give you an idea of sort of the planning that goes into this, a few years ago, Mike Pence did a eulogy for one of his predecessors. And this small town doctor, who was incredibly popular, Dr. Otis Bowden, became governor. He was extremely popular at the time. And one of his initiatives was to create a tax-free benefit to nonprofit organizations in this state. And that became a draw and a magnet for other organizations to come here, which in then turn happened to draw a lot of Greeks. And when it became our turn, we joined them. What I find incredibly ironic about that whole thing is Otis Bowden, the governor who signed that into law, was a Delta Chi. Isn't that pretty amazing? I want to thank you all so much for coming, for always being a part of your fraternity, no matter what stage in your life you're in. It's always here for you, and I thank you very, very much. And I'd like to introduce Miles Washburn, our retiring AA.
Thank you all for coming. It's a real honor to be here and to have you here. I was asked to keep it brief, which is easy because they've already talked about everything. And also to talk about the journey of how we got here. And I just learned something new from Ron. When did you write your paper?
While I was AA,
Give me the year.
91, 92.
So the journey started at least in 91 or 92. And I know I served 2 terms as AA. During both my terms, I had people calling me and asking me, when are we going to move? When are we going to go to Indy? And I know that AA before me had those conversations, the AA before him had those conversations, all the way back to at least Greg Hauser. So the journey's been long. It was a project that I had other things going on during my term that I just couldn't address. And when Aaron and I were talking that he was going to run for AA, he said, this is something I want to do. And I looked at him with no envy at all. Absolutely none. I was like, you know what? This is all yours. But you know what? Aaron took it, and he formed a committee, and the committee worked very hard. And Aaron came out here several times. I know that Jerod couldn't have happened without him, without his leadership, without Aaron's leadership and their committee. Ron came out here before we had it too, if I'm not mistaken. I thought you came out here once, maybe twice.
Right after closing.
Right after closing. So these gentlemen really took the brunt of the work. Of course, the staff, it goes without saying, it couldn't have happened without the staff. So at the end of the day, those are the people that really need to be thanked. And they did a tremendous job. I'm so proud of them. And I applaud them for all their work. That being said, I told you I'd be short. I have to reintroduce Jerod to the lectern. It says it, to the lectern.
Thank you. Well, as we wrap up this evening, I'd like to do 3 quick things. And the first, if Aaron, if you could come up here. As a part of dedicating the building, I, on behalf of the staff, we do want to present Aaron with the key to headquarters. We know that Aaron does enjoy his Delta Chi memorabilia. Much of that memorabilia is on loan and displayed in the museum, and we're very lucky for that. So we would like to add one more piece to your collection, which is the key to headquarters.
So we'll take it right downstairs?
Yeah. In just a few minutes, as we conclude, the executive committee is going to take our dedication plaque down, hang it on the wall, and take a photo that will mirror the one from 314 Church Street. And so I just would encourage you all to check out the next issue of the quarterly magazine, where we'll do a very nice spread on the dedication of headquarters, but also a trip down memory lane for 314 Church Street. But I would like to just take a minute and read this, and then we'll wrap up this part of this evening. This building is more than a place of work. It's a home to our history while our future is created. We dedicate our international headquarters as a place where relationships are driven, operations are perfected, and the bond perpetuated. All members and friends of the fraternity shall be welcomed. As it will hold a place in our hearts, may it hold a lifetime of memories yet to be forged. By their wise counsel and tireless service, those named below continue to make an everlasting contribution to the Delta Chi Fraternity. And those are the executive committee: Aaron Otto, Tom Carroll, Ron Martin, board appointees Dave Galt, Don LaPlante, and board of regents Miles Washburn, retiring AA, Sean Hollenbach, Josh Smithkline, Grant Heron, Mark Sexton, Nick Kern, JD, Justin Donnelly, Jack Rodican, Mitch Fender, Ben Dundas, and Gene Doris. Therefore, let it be known to all who visit that on this day, the 20th of March, 2020, the international headquarters of the Delta Chi Fraternity is officially open to all. And it's signed by one of our most notable quotes: "The fraternity man never graduates. He receives his diploma and leaves his alma mater for the larger affairs of the world. He is as much a part and parcel of it as in his undergraduate days. His success is theirs, and their success is his. He belongs to the family for life." And that was from Peter Schermerhorn Johnson, a founder of Delta Chi. And so again, this evening, we will end tonight. If I could have a couple of staff members to come up and help with the ribbon. One thing we didn't get to do was give Aaron a giant pair of scissors to help commemorate this event by cutting the ribbon. And that is right up here. If you guys want to come up here. Aaron, if you want to stand up front, give you this giant pair of scissors.
That could do some damage.
Come up here, Greg.
How many Delta Chi's to take you this season?
Ready? 1, 2, go.
I love it.
So again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Please use this opportunity to mingle, network, meet some of our esteemed guests, and tour the building. Please spend some time not only in the museum looking at Delta Chi's history, proud history, but also eating all of this food. So thank you again. Please enjoy the rest of the evening, and we appreciate all of you. Thank you.
That was great about those both. I had the opportunity to meet you. Yeah. I found out that day, but I didn't know that it was really good. Doing